Art thou ready then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just sipping a LaCroix.
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 Okay.
LaCroix.
Look. Like, yeah, that's what we'll call it.
However many letters you want to add, it doesn't matter.
LaCroix.
The Crocs.
LaCroix. Oh, jeez.
We're not sponsored.
No. Not by anything. We're sponsored by this hole in my shirt. Okay.
Great.
Nah. Welcome to A4NB4Y, the Zelda theme podcast that's currently deep diving into Zelda Breath of the Wild as we eagerly await more information about Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. And if you delay it again,
Bro, you alright?
Just making a funny.
Oh, alright.
My name's Cameron Hagee. I'm a guy with way too many hats, way more than one for every day of the week, and that's not even a joke. And this is my co-host that's with me tonight.
My name is Ryan Fonzie, otherwise known as Mothula, the moth who ate a hole in Cameron's shirt.
No! I knew it! This whole time. So betrayed.
Anthony never defeated me, he lied. Been stuck in that skull woods forever.
You've been in my closet for too long. Nibbling on my shirt.
Wherever the food is, that's where I go.
Unfortunately, Anthony can't be joining us tonight. He's going through some life problems.
Yeah, he's unfortunately just had some stuff come up, and he said he might be joining us a little bit late, but we're not holding out for him. He's got a lot going on right now, so
Yeah.
Cool.
So this who you got?
This is who you got. You got us, the two of us, the dynamic duo.
The hoe.
And
which one's got the utility belt though?
The only one in the duo had a utility belt? I don't know the dynamic duo. I don't even know if that's a reference to anything other than.
Oh yeah, I was talking Batman and Robin.
Oh,
and Batman's got
possibly, yeah.
the belt with all the stuffses.
Robin's got a motorcycle though, so it's all good. We'll figure it out.
Batman got a motorcycle too, and helicopter.
Yeah,
and Batmobile.
Depends on
and
which thing you're watching.
And a submarine.
Is it Robin adopted into all those same things?
I mean, he's got a spot for him and everything, but I think Robin's only got his own bike.
Yeah.
Sidekick things, you know.
It is what it is.
All right, we're done with DC now.
Way. Yeah. So, I mean, we could jump right into the. I mean, last time we were talking about the Great Plateau, but then we left the Great Plateau. So
we did do that. We got the paraglider, and we will not fall to our demise anymore.
Yeah, Rome Boss From has finally handed over the glider so that we could make our way over. He actually told us to go seek out Impa as well. We go through the dueling peaks. So, I mean, my path to this almost always includes the Proxim Bridge, which is pretty much just leads straight there.
I did wind up at that point eventually, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places you can go and do take care of, but like some towers and stuff like that. Like there's so many glowing things on the map to kind of take your attention.
You could play this like an Assassin's Creed game and run around and get every tower before you even go to the first place you have to go to.
Yeah, my first playthrough I did that. I went tower hunting as my first order of business.
I was like, I want to see this whole map in front of me now.
Right. It's a fun way to do it, but this time I didn't feel the need. So, I mean, I think I already talked about going to Satori Mountain to go farming, but then I headed over and went across Proxim Bridge, which is where you meet this guy named Brigo. And the thing about Brigo is that he tries to like he tells you about guardians. He says he got chased by one,
Yep.
and then
Almost killed by one.
yeah, and then he points one out that's like dead in the river. And so after you have this conversation, for me, I usually stand up on the ledge to get a better look, and this has happened both times. He'll stop you and act like you're about to jump off the bridge. Like, hey, don't go jump into your doom. And I'm like, because I don't know how to read if he's trying to he thinks you're trying to end yourself, or if he thinks that you're taking a big risk because the guardian might still be alive. Like, I don't know how he, like, when he's telling you not to do that, like what he's really getting at. I mean, jumping off of bridges, if you see someone about to jump off a bridge, I think the right thing to do would be to stop them, or at least to
Yeah.
try. So maybe it's just one of those things. He doesn't know you have a paraglider, and he's like, hold up. Don't
Yeah.
do
I
that.
think that's more what's going on.
Yeah. So
And he
that was
also
an
mentions that
interesting
he
thing
was
to
really
do.
surprised that the towers got shot up into the air out of nowhere and that all the shrines started glowing. He was pretty freaked out about that when the Guardians started moving and attacking
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
him.
So yeah, we get past Brigo, right? Make our way
And we're on our
over.
way to the dueling peaks, right?
Yeah, dueling peak. I actually climbed the dueling peaks and did the dueling peak shrines.
Me too. But
Um,
first I went through the middle of them and got the climber's bandana.
yeah, I think that's how you want to do it, because then you can climb the dueling peaks a lot easier.
Yeah, a little
Get
easier.
the get well, yeah, a little easier. First stage of climbing improvements. I guess the spoiler to mention that there's 2 more levels to that improvement, but
Yeah.
not
If
there
there's a
yet.
bandana, you got to imagine there's a full set.
Yeah, most things in the game have a full set. So there are some weird one-offs, but most things come in a set, and there's actually like set bonuses and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
climbing gear being one of them that is just nice to get early on and have for the rest of the game. So
However,
definitely
set bonuses don't come into effect until later.
right. Yeah, no, there's more stuff that you have to do, but I think only very few things have a set bonus that activates without any kind of upgrading, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there are a couple that do. Yeah, no, we'll get to that in later episodes for sure. But so yeah, so I did the Dueling Peaks. I went to the Dueling Peaks stable. There's a couple of fun NPCs, but I don't know if anything particularly stand out. There were a couple guys who wanted to find some hidden treasure, but I didn't follow that quest line. I didn't go looking for the treasure, but it was interesting to have that be like one of the side missions available. Is like, oh, we're gonna go find old warrior Maximus's treasure or whatever. I forgot who that was, but some old bandit dude.
Did they put an X on your map?
No, no, the mission actually just has a yellow dot. I mean, they gave like some cryptic riddle, and that's all I got was the cryptic riddle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's quite a few riddles in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is where a lot of people might catch their first horse. I caught a
Not
horse.
me.
I don't know if I got my first one here. I think I might have ridden a horse here. I don't remember how that all played out. But yeah, I think we talked about horses first episode too. I got my
Yeah, I
horse.
think I just
Yeah,
pointed one out.
cool, cool. The other major thing around here is Hetsu is around, or Hestu. Is it
Yeah, has to.
Hestu? And
Has to.
Hestu is missing his maracas. The thing that you need to know about Hestu is he loves to party. But in order to party, he needs maracas, and some
Yeah, that's
baddies
just
have stolen his maracas. Real good.
not just regular old baddies either. They're like an upgraded color. They're slightly harder.
Yeah, it's like straight up moblins and stuff out there, isn't it? Like it's like a little camp hidden in the rocks, and they're actually positioned pretty well.
Yeah, but they are bokoblins.
I mean, I snuck in with just floated in with some bomb arrows and made quick work of it. But
I pulled them
fun.
out of their little cove and just beat the crap out of them.
I mean, that's what they get, I guess.
It is.
They're taking maracas that don't belong to them. So
What
they
are they
don't
gonna
even
do with them anyways?
nothing. They put them in a treasure chest. I'm like, if you're gonna
Yeah,
steal the maraca, at least shake it. I mean, come on.
do something.
What are you doing? Who hired these bad guys anyway?
I don't know. Maybe their original goal was to, as we find out soon, get rid of all the seeds inside of the maracas. Is when we get them back to Hestu, he can't party with these maracas because there's nothing in them to shake.
Yeah,
They're just empty little hollow sticks that he's waving around.
that is true.
But if we have been doing anything thus far, we probably have a Korok seed. You know what I'm saying? There's 1,000 of them on the map. There's 1,000 of them. There's
Well,
1,000.
there is 900 at least. I think this is exactly 900.
I thought there was exactly 1,000.
I think this is exactly 900.
Well, then I'm angry because they could have fit 100 more in there to make it 1,000. Come on.
They could have made it a nice even number.
Yeah, an evener number.
Like 1,000. But no, yeah, you. By this time, I think I had at least 8 of them. But he won't take. He won't take infinite. He'll upgrade maybe 3 things, and then he'll be like, "All right, I'm out. I got to make my way home."
I think 3 is the number.
After a few dances, he finally remembers which way he's supposed to go and like to get home. He's kind of lost, aside from having lost his maracas. So once you
He's
get
lost
back,
without his maracas.
yeah, no, you give him a couple maracas, you give him some seeds, and suddenly he's on his way. Like he knows who he is again. So he's also surprised that you can see him because like all the forest spirits, like they don't get seen by many people, I guess. So Link, being pure of heart is typically the reasoning they give. Can see all the Koroks and Hestu as well. So
Who's just a big Korok.
basically, he's on his way to being the next like Deku Tree or something. He's just
Yeah.
big in.
He's a big Korok.
Yeah. So we
Yep.
make it past him, and we are on our way right into Kakariko. Kakariko is a pretty cool place. I mean, I remember the first time going there, just kind of being wowed and uh, really enjoying the experience because it's very much Japan inspired. I will say it's very Japan heavy. It's like got a lot of historical Japanese influence in the architecture and decor. I will say there's like these really cool like wooden like plaques that are hanging from like ropes across the way as you enter. Um, a lot of the, I don't know, just I mean, even the clothing that everyone's wearing is like everybody's got these like really cool robe-esque. I don't know exactly what you'd even call them because I'm not that up with the culture, but and everything like from the clothing to the buildings themselves is just it's all kind of steep. The music is amazing. It's got like this flute that plays through most of it. It's really I think Anthony kind of took it as inspiration for the closing theme of this season. Um, but it's all very like it's very transportive. It's very immersive when you come in here. I've always liked it.
Yeah. I remember the feeling of coming into this place my first time playing the game was just unlike how the rest of the game felt. It just had its own very different, unique atmosphere that no other place in the game kind of really touched to. Although maybe one place later on kind of reminded me of it a little bit in a certain way, but that's not till later.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's for sure. It's definitely unique. It definitely it's like the hidden village, like the way you kind of expect. And I mean, we find out pretty soon in that this is a Sheikah village. So as opposed to like Ocarina of Time, where the Sheikah village was already taken over by the Hylians that had moved in, the Sheikah weren't even really there. This one, it, in contrast to that, is entirely still inhabited by the Sheikah, and you get to see what Sheikah culture would have actually looked like had there been an entire town of them. They are this hidden warrior kind of group, but at the same time, you're kind of walking into what appears, at least at first, to be this village in a time of peace. Like they're not actually at war right now. Um, not to say that they don't seem to always be prepared for that. It's just that when they're not like exercising at night, they're just kind of farming and chilling during the day. So um, it's really cool. I mean, I will say that there are some things about the village that I did not catch my first time around that I now having played the game and having kind of talked to everybody in town am realizing about this village where maybe like not everything is peaceful, but we'll get to that. The first character that you see when you come here is actually Nana, and I think that Nana is placed just to catch your attention. She apparently sprained her ankle and is like sitting by one of the trees right on entry. And when you talk to her, she recovers almost immediately, and then notices the Sheikah slate that you're carrying and tells you that you should probably go visit Impa, and points out Impa's house right down at the middle of town, like biggest place you can find. Right in front of a big set of waterfalls, and it's very obvious. But the game still kind of goes out of its way to point it out to you, and they kind of do that by enticing you to talk to this character because you think they need help when really they don't. They're really just there to point you in the right direction. So, kind of a cool way to railroad the player without feeling like you're being railroaded. I mean, you talk to most people in town, they'll all kind of suggest you go talk to Impa as well if you haven't yet. But yeah, cool.
There's a well placed info dump character just to tell you where to go.
Right.
Oh, my ankle. Oh, I'm better. Hey, go over there. Bye. Hey.
I saw on Twitter the other day that all of the people in Kakariko are named after fruit. But sometimes you have to translate their names into a different language or from a different language to know what fruit they're talking about. But Nana would be like banana, and which is kind of suspicious from some stuff later on, but we'll get to that too. And
So
then
Paya would be like papaya.
Papaya would be papaya. Yeah. She actually signs her name as papaya in a book in Impa's house, which is kind of interesting as well.
She is a fruit.
Right. And there's also like a durian in the place who's named after durian fruit. Stuff like that. It happens all the time.
This village loves fruit.
Village loves fruit. They don't even really, well, one person
And pumpkins.
grows fruit. Yeah. But most of them don't.
Sad.
Yeah, so I guess we should just cover the bit with. I mean, do you want to do Impa and Paya first, or do you want to save them to the end? I think I asked you this. Okay, to our audience, real quick. This is our second time attempting a recording of this episode, and last time we got into the town, we got about an hour into the recording, and then we lost everything. So
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So some of these questions that we're talking about, we've actually talked about once before. So if it seems like we're like speeding through them, trust me, we're doing our best not to. But in this case, I actually don't remember what we decided last time we got to this point. If we wanted to start with Impa or if we wanted to end with Impa.
We started
with Impa. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So just one thing, you go, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Well, as you first approach Impa's temple, palace, building, house, the big building right by the falls where Impa, like for the village leader would be. There are a couple of bodyguards. Yeah, and this is
Who are you? Is that a Sheikah slave? Oh my god, that's a Sheikah slave. Oh, hi. Basically how it goes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's Dorian and Kato maybe that are blocking the way. And I mean, because they have other position, like they do other stuff in the town later on. But until you've gone this way, they'll just be there on guard the entire time. And they notice the Sheikah slate as well, and they're like, "Oh, you must be the hero we've all been waiting for," or whatever. So they get out of the way and let you go talk to Impa. But you can also run into Paya, who's normally, I mean, for me, she's always like out on the deck when I arrive.
Yeah.
Doing some sweeping, and she kind of has
Is that
the
not
same.
a scripted encounter? I thought that was scripted. I thought she had to be there.
It might be. I don't think you have to talk to her though. I think you can just walk right by if you want. She might be scripted to be there, and as a average player, you'll probably stop and talk to her, but I don't think you have to. Like, I'm pretty sure I remember actually going up and hitting A to talk, like where I could have just gone through the door instead.
I feel like since I already know exactly what she's going to say, I would have just ignored her, but I definitely talked to her, which makes me think that I was forced into talking to her. So I don't know. So yeah, she's just really nervous. She looks at us. She's stammering the entire time. You can tell that the amount of time she's talked to a man is probably countable on one or two hands. There's plenty of men in this village, so I don't know. She's just so unbelievably nervous. I don't know.
Yeah, she definitely definitely does have some what's the word for it? Not inhibitions, but maybe inhibitions. She definitely has some issues with talking to
Yeah.
Link.
It's like
Uh,
imagine when Justin Bieber was like the biggest thing. If a girl just got to walk up to him and talk to him, and how she would just be like falling all over herself. That's exactly what she does when Link walks up. Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh, I barely remember my name.
never considered it being Link being described as a in comparison with Justin Bieber, but
I mean, it's an example. I guess the hair kind of matches up a little bit too, though. Now that I think about it.
are you a belinker?
Oh no! Title.
Are you a belinker? Oh no. Uh, but yeah, I mean, she doesn't really give you any new information. I lost my
We head
train of
on in and
thought.
we
We
talk
head
to
on
Impa.
in. Well, yeah, talk to Impa. You can talk to Impa first, and then there's more stuff in here to look at. But yeah, uh, she kind of is surprised to see you, welcomes you, realizes real quick that you don't have any memory anymore. I might even have a conversation about that, about the amnesia. But she essentially gives you a little bit of a rundown about where you are, like what kind of like the gist of what happened. And basically talks about how if you lost your memory, it's going to be really hard for you to like pick up any new information here. So she kind of tells you like, hey, when you're ready, like come back, and I will let you know like what happened to you, basically. Um, I think she tells you to go talk to her another Sheikah woman over in Heteno. To kind of get some basically she's trying to lead you towards a memory quest so that you can regain your memories before learning everything. um but she says, once you feel like you're ready, come back and I'll let you know like everything that's happened.
So of
And
course we just talk to her immediately.
yeah, so I just talked to her immediately again, and she goes through this spiel like where she kind of explains what happened not 100 years ago, but starts out by telling you what happened 10,000 years ago. And what happened 10,000 years ago was the actual defeat of Calamity Ganon. So I guess for even back then, there were legends of this, hero with the, this well, person with the spirit of the hero, I guess, and then princess with the blood of the goddess, and how they were kind of set to take on Ganon whenever he would arise. But in this case, they prepared really heavily for it once they had the signs of a coming uh, age of Ganon. So
Yeah. That's where they constructed the entire army of guardians, as well as the four divine beasts that all had to have a champion capable of piloting them to their efficiency.
yeah,
And so they did. And along with the champion, like the actual spirit of the hero person, they stood with him with their divine beasts and the army of the guardians and stood off against Calamity Ganon, who has a really good picture in the artwork during the cutscene. Like
hmm
I saw that and I was like, that's actually a pretty scary picture of Ganon. Like,
yeah. It's like the tapestry is very interesting, and now it's like it was became part of the predictions that everyone's making for Breath of the Wild 2 and everything. Like, oh, is the hero in the tapestry gonna be involved? Whether it's like actually Ganon and we're all gonna be confused, or if you're actually playing as that hero somehow because of time travel and whatnot. Because the Legend of Zelda tends to throw in time travel every once in a while.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, 2 of the 3 games we've already played had it, so you know.
And the other one didn't have time travel, but it had like world dimension travel.
Right. So there's been a lot of predictions and theories kind of surrounding that idea, but I don't want to get too far into that. I just wanted to mention it just as a we are aware of this uh kind of statement. But yeah, goes through the whole story about how they defeated Ganon, and then kind of explains briefly that so we tried it again. We tried it one more again when we saw all the signs of Ganon returning. We got ready for it as best we could, but we weren't ready enough. And so basically, Ganon came back and you fell. And that's part of why you have amnesia, is because you probably went to the Chamber of Resurrection and got lost all your memories.
To be fair, though, Ganon was a little underhanded this time. The first time, he's like, these guardians, these divine beasts, these things kicked my butt. I don't want to deal with them. So what does he do? He sends his own, what are they called? They're not just minions. They're like visages of Calamity Ganon or something like that.
Yeah.
He sends into the divine beasts to battle and ultimately, unfortunately, defeat and kill the champions of the divine beasts. And then also, when those divine beasts turned towards Ganon, when he corrupted them, he also managed to corrupt the entire army of guardians.
Yeah.
So he had a trick up his sleeve this time after losing the last time, and they didn't anticipate this, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, I mean and we're gonna learn more about that as we go.
Oh, did they not talk about that yet?
No, they talk about that. They talk about the calamity and the. I mean, I don't think they name the blights or anything,
Oh,
but
well, yeah.
they talk about the malice and everything and how he was able to basically turn the entire what was supposed to be the help force for this whole battle and turned it into basically more enemies and devastating ones at that.
Yeah.
And it just follows right along with Rome's explanation of how Hyrule was defeated. So now they've been waiting for you to return, and Impa directs you to go seek out. Well, first she gives you the mission to destroy the divine beasts, and basically, you know, not rescue necessarily, but go help Zelda finish the job with with Ganon.
Whenever you get to it, she's fine. She's lasted 100 years. What's another
Yeah,
couple
she'll
weeks?
be fine. She'll be fine. She's always fine. We're gonna be at this game for a while, and I feel like every episode we're gonna say that. Yeah, but Zelda's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll
Yeah,
get
at
to
the end of every
that.
disclaimer, Zelda's still fine.
Zelda's still fine. She's good.
It's okay.
She's good. It's all good. She would rather be helped by someone who remembers. So
Yeah.
so
She could last another 100 years if she had to. It's fine.
it's fine. But yeah, so she sends us on our way, and I mean part of that, travel to is traveling to Hateno to meet up with Pura. I don't know if she actually gives the name, but there's a researcher over there who can help you basically get on your way to restoring those memories, or kind of restoring your memory in general of the events, so that you can be more prepared and have a better understanding of what has actually happened and what you need to do.
With the help of our tablet, obviously.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sheikah Slate is crucial at all times.
At all times.
But yeah, so other things to note inside this building though. I mean, there's a big picture on the wall of one specific memory, I think, but you can't really do anything with it yet. It's like it's kind of just matches like some like that you get a picture capability on the Sheikah Slate later, and there's just like a painting on the wall that kind of looks a lot like one, and it ends up being important down the line.
Hmm.
There's an orb that looks like it's out of one of the shrines, but you can't touch it. It's an heirloom. It's like a family heirloom, so you're not allowed to take, you're not allowed to touch it. Even if you are the hero, you're not supposed to have it.
Dude.
Uh, you might do a little bit of exploring and find where it's supposed to go, and then get real frustrated.
No,
But that is actually a mission that we can't even do yet. Like that is a mission that is a late game event that we will get to, but not for a while. So, for now
Check in later.
it's just there. Yeah. In fact, there's a book sitting on the table that is actually the Journal of Various Worries. And this is because Impa is the leader of the Sheikah tribe. All of these various worries have been submitted to this basically town hall esque palace that she's sitting in. It's not really a palace. I keep calling it a palace. It's not a palace. It's like a little hut, but it's bigger than most people's houses. So
Hmm.
is what it is. A little sanctuary, I guess you could
It's a
call it.
nice little place.
Yeah, it's a nice little spot. She got a little condo, rents
And
real
it's the highest
reasonable.
building in the town,
Yeah,
except for maybe the ones up on the hill.
got the water feature behind her.
I had a really funny encounter happen here, but it'll wait for my story.
Okay. So in this book of various woes, I'll just go through some Spark Notes version of it because it is kind of like a lot of text.
Just some of the important woes.
Just some of the important woes. There's the struggling shop girl. Like I'll give the name of how they signed it in the book, and then we can kind of talk about who they are later. Who is banned from walking around at night and misses seeing the fireflies. There is the lonely arrow girl who talks about the new guy in town and makes some adult jokes. So won't get into that, but it's there if you want to read that.
Ooh,
Um,
schwiggity.
there's the bowmaster who has this hilarious bit about how his wife left him because she said it's either me or the cuckoos, and then he wrote, "I chose the cuckoos." It's messed up.
I feel like I remember that from the first time I played the game.
Yeah. And then there's a dude who's concerned about the arrival of this new painter in town. This guy who's standing outside, who we haven't talked about quite yet. But I think he even names him in the Book of Worries that this man, Pekingo, has arrived in town and is looking for the fairy fountain. But that's also where the spirit guardian of the town resides. So he doesn't want him to go up there and like disturb that. And this is written by the anonymous father of two. There's only one person in the town who has two kids, so we'll be able to name him pretty easy too.
Yeah.
And then lastly, there's a note about how there's voices coming from the family heirloom, and that she thinks that the destiny of the heirloom is about to come to its like fulfillment. And this is signed by none other than Papaya. So we may have just talked about an heirloom that's in the same room and a girl named Paya out on the porch, but
And then it's talking to her.
it's talking to her. She's hearing voices. It's a real thing. I don't know.
Yeah, she does have some issues.
I can't talk to a man, but I can talk to this orb all day.
This orb talked to me better than any guy ever has.
All right. So, we can meet some of the townspeople now. I guess we go out and we can talk to. I mean, Pekingo is right outside. The painter who wants to see the fairy fountain. I mean, normally I go to the fairy fountain before I've even talked to anybody, just because it's where the shrine is,
There.
and I always want that fast travel shrine. So,
Speaking of that fast travel, we're just gonna gloss over the fact that Link, at the click of a tablet button, can turn his body into blue slivers of light and just up into the air, and then just
satellite beam himself around.
on down, and then just reconfigure himself from the blue light.
Now that I say that, it wouldn't be satellite. It's more like radio tower, right? Like, isn't that what the towers are for? You just radio link around.
I guess it's
It's a cell tower, man. I don't know
what's going on. There's a conspiracy there.
Yeah, it's one of the wildest fast travel modes Link has ever had. I mean, listen, hanging from a bird that's like 1/80th your body weight is one thing, but being turned into blue light and transported anywhere in the map is a whole nother level.
It might just be one of the weirdest fast travel things that's just completely unexplained in just about any game. I mean, usually when you fast travel, you just assume your guy walks there and you just don't have to do the walking. Or sometimes, like in Skyrim, you'll have to go to a cart and then all of a sudden you're seeing the cart pull into your next destination. Usually you just assume the movement happens somehow. But in Breath of the Wild, they're just like, let's turn them into blue lights of shredded paper. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's Sony's Spider-Man. He literally rides the subway.
Yeah.
You see him on the subway sitting next to people just doing Spider-Man things in his full costume.
There's like legitimate things that go on during fast travel. This game is just like you're literally teleporting as
Like,
these shreds of blue light.
You are just data in a simulation, sir.
Yeah.
It's all this game has ever been.
A simulation with a chemical engine though.
With a chemical engine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
The Legend of Zelda Wi-Fi Waker.
Yeah, Wi-Fi Warrior. Bluetooth edition.
Twilight printouts.
Yes.
Oh goodness. This camera's driving me crazy. Can I just say
Ocarina of Toner.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Okay. We need to move on.
Yes, we do. So we're done with the Book of Woes now, and we're on to we just talked about the painter.
He can go. Yeah, he'll take you up to the fairy fountain. And he wants a picture of the fairy fountain, but the fairy fountain's way more useful to us than just getting a picture for this guy.
Oh yeah.
100 rupees will unlock it, and then there's a great fairy inside who will effectively upgrade your clothing in exchange for materials that you would find. Same ones you would use for cooking or for making elixirs.
And I just want to mention she's very grabby. Like that hand comes out full like, where's my money?
Money, please. Yeah,
please.
Absolutely.
And then as soon as you just kind of just reach your hand out a little bit, she just snatches it from you immediately. Just give me that.
Yeah, it's a little strange that their power is tied to rupees. Like they need someone to pay homage to them in rupees specifically in order for them to be able to even open the fairy fountain.
Yeah,
they're just kind of sequestered inside these bugs.
Like you can't offer attention or love or food or rare garments or anything. It's just got to be money, the money, monetary value thingy. Yeah, you need those.
Yeah, them rupes.
We got fairy things we got to buy at Fairy Mart.
At Fairy Mart.
I don't know, but also in the general area of the fairy who upgrades our equipment at the moment by blowing at us, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of a callback to Wind Waker, but also definitely just blowing a kiss.
She just kind of blows at you.
In Wind Waker, they would put their hands like this, and it'd be like a lotus flower, and there'd be a bunch of petals, and then they would blow it, and all the petals would fly at you. But in this one, it's like I think they do like a one-handed thing, and it's definitely just more. Everything they do is like flirty and a little bit over the top. So, I mean,
especially the final upgrade that we'll cover eventually.
Yeah. I mean, the details of the cutscenes aren't really. I'm not that. I mean,
they're there.
I could have done without them, honestly.
Yeah, no, me too. It's a little odd, especially seeing as you fit in her hand like a normal kitten would fit in a person's hand.
Yeah, they're massive. The Great Fairies in this game are massive.
They're big ladies. But in the general vicinity of the fairy fountain, there's also, I think, 4 regular fairies you can catch if you're willing to crouch and sneak up on them, because otherwise they will just fly up and out of there immediately. There's some, I think, maybe a hot-footed frog or 2, some silent princesses, some blue nightshade. I think there was an Endura carrot. There was one of those radishes. Yeah, hardy radish. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of good stuff around there.
All the stuff. If you keep going down that path, there's actually what's called the Rabia Plain, and there's a crowned beast shrine quest that Cass will give you. And this was originally going to be my first side segment of Fonzie's Farms. I wanted to go each episode and talk about a place where it's just good for farming. And this one, because there's a mission to essentially ride a deer, a buck, if you will, over to the shrine platform, the game spawns a lot of them in the area. And the thing about the deer is that they drop like prime meat, which is a little bit more valuable when you cook it. Not as valuable as gourmet meat, but pretty much the second place. Um, so you can farm a lot of this meat in order to cook a lot of dishes to make a lot of money. And I mean, let's be honest, everybody's out here chasing that paper. I found that there's actually a much better place to farm this particular animal later in the game, and I think we'll get to that next episode. So this ended up not being the farm that I want to talk about. There is a pond over there that's got some fish and some hot-footed frogs, so that's kind of nice.
E.
Uh, so just worth a mention. But my farm for this, I mean, honestly, aside from the fairy fountain itself, I would say that Kakariko, it just like the actual town is a amazing firefly farm. If you go out at night, fireflies everywhere in town.
Really?
So yeah, yeah, there's
Huh.
actually yeah. There's like a specific flower up on one of the hills by the Veiled Falls too, but I forget what flower it was. But yeah, the fireflies in town. There's like sneaky snails in all the little pools of water, and then there's fireflies all around the town.
Sneaky little snails.
Yeah, all the sneak bugs, like because you can actually buy the sneak armor in this place, they give you a lot of the things that you need to upgrade it right in the same town. It's very
Hey.
convenient. Uh, but yeah, we have a whole list of NPCs here. Now, I know you said you didn't talk to too many NPCs before we got started with this episode.
No.
Um, so I can run through some of them if you want.
Yeah, hit me up with some interesting buggers.
All right. So I'll start out first person I talked to when I got here was Olkin. Olkin grows mighty pumpkins as his main job. He also likes to run around the town at night. He's very much about defense in general. He's one of like the two people who's always training. Um, and he's kind of has a rivalry going on with the dude next door. Dude next door is named Steen, and he is the one who grows swift carrots. Steen is all about offense. Like he thinks the best defense is a good offense. They have one of those dichotomies going on between the two of them. Um, so there's like some little town rivalry going on between these two guys. Uh, Olkin's kind of mad because Steen's wife won't sell Mighty Pumpkins in the store. She only sells the Swift Carrots. And there's some other things going on too. It turns out, I think we'll find this out later in the game that Olkin's actually been trying to mess with the carrots. He's been trying to like damage the farm. But
Oh my
in
goodness.
in his efforts, he actually just ends up tilling the land so that the carrots grow better.
Huh.
So that's a thing that goes down. I thought
Silly
Olkin was gonna
Olkin.
be a cool dude when I first met him. He thought I was part of the Yiga clan. I was like, "What?" He's like, he kind of had to explain to me what the Yiga clan was because we haven't ran into the Yiga clan yet. But he was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it's a rival like group, and they're all set on evil and whatnot." But you're not. You're definitely not one of them. And he's like, kind of chuckles and laughs it off. But he
And then
just
offers to sell you a
and
pumpkin.
then to sell you some mighty pumpkins. He's like, "You're a pretty cool guy. Have a mighty pumpkin." He actually gives you mighty pumpkin soup, just as
Hey.
like a welcome to town kind of gesture.
And I bought a pumpkin off him too.
Yeah. So Oaken's wife is Melly. So Melly, like I guess Melon, I guess, right? Oaken is actually based on the word pumpkin. So if you were a fan of Pum and Kina from Skyward Sword, maybe they're like distant relatives. I don't know, but they're all pumpkin farmers.
Yeah.
So Melly actually tends to a plum garden in town. The plum garden, she'll if you talk to her, it's actually kind of cool. She'll tell you that the plums are like the plum trees are a symbol of perseverance and tranquility and all these things. And she kind of talks about how Impa actually grew the plum farm when the day Melly was born. So kind of goes back to that Ocarina of Time, like Impa being this nurturer, like being a motherly figure almost. Like it goes into that where Melly's like, yeah, Impa planted these when I was a baby, and I've been watching over them as long as I can remember. Like this is important to me. And she's like, the day that anything happens to these trees is the day I go out or something like that. She's basically like, yeah, she ties her life to these plum trees. Basically, she's like, yeah, they're that important to me. They're like they're my life at this point. Um, so kind of an interesting character to have. I found out because I accidentally jumped into the orchard from above, and she got real mad at me. She's like, "You get out of there. Nothing can happen to these trees."
So you started throwing bombs in there, right?
No, there is a cuckoo in the trees. And you need to go in there to get that cuckoo at some point, but you can't do it while she's around. You have to do it while she's at home. Speaking of when she's at home, though, if you go into her house at night or whatever, she'll be sleeping in her hut. And if you wake her up, she'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm all right. I'm alive. Don't worry." And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were Olkin." So basically, Olkin comes in and checks up on her every once in a while to see if she's still alive, which is
That's always nice.
it's always nice if you're an elderly couple, I guess. I don't know.
Yo, you still alive? Yeah. Alright, good.
Great.
I wasn't done with you yet.
Um, so that's just an interesting dynamic they got going on. If we turn on over to Steen, his wife is Trissa, and Trissa runs the High Spirits Produce, where she sells Swift carrots amongst some other things. I think she sells like goat butter or something like that, a couple other ingredients. But yeah, runs the store. Kind of has a similar thing. I mean, she's there, I think, 24/7. But she has a thing where she'll tell you about how Steen is always worried about her because she works in the cold produce building and like is just completely like by herself.
24/7, never
Yeah,
sleeps. I would be worried too.
yeah. So you have these two guys who are like in a rivalry with each other, but are both kind of worrisome about their wives, which I thought was really interesting. Because they're both kind of like similar in their character in that way. Like they both like are very concerned with their marriages, I guess. Even if it's in a worry wart kind of way, like they're a little bit overly concerned, it seems. And I say that tongue in cheek because I know that there's something going on in this town that we'll get to that kind of explains all this. Um,
Oh,
but I want to move on from there. We'll get back to that. If you move around to the other shops in town, there's Enchanted, which is run by Clary and has Lasley working outside as like a marketer. Lasley is the struggling shop girl from the Book of Worries, Book of Various Worries. So she's the one who misses going to see the fireflies and everything. You wouldn't know that from talking to her while she's at work, but when she goes back to home, you can go and talk to her, and she'll probably tell you like, yeah, things have just gotten so dangerous outside of town that we can't even really walk around outside at night. I just feel like I'm trapped inside, and it's basically not the way it used to be. Everything's just dangerous now. So she's just kind of upset that the world has changed into what it is today in terms of Hyrule and the danger that lurks outside of the town. Moving on, the Curious Quiver is the bow shop,
hey.
and this is run by Rolla. And Rolla seems quite impressed with Link, and this is pretty obviously the lonely arrow girl. Weird thing about her being the lonely arrow girl is that she is actually in a I don't say disbanded, but her marriage is like on the rock, taking a break, I guess. I don't know. It's very confusing. I don't know what the marriage culture is in the Sheikah tribe, but it seems like there was a unofficial divorce between her and the quote unquote bowmaster, who is the cuckoo farm man, Kato. So
Hey.
so Kato is out there raising his cuckoos, and just like the cuckoo lady from Ocarina of Time, he's lost all of his cuckoos around Kakariko village, and he asks you to go get them. So you can run all around town
Of
and
course he does.
collect these cuckoos. One of which like I mentioned before, is in the plum orchard. So you got to time that well. And he'll give you the traditional red rupee for doing all of that. I was so mad when I got all of his cuckoos together, and he's like, "Oh yeah, here's a worthy reward, 20 rupees." I'm like, "Get out of here."
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that one now.
Yeah,
I'd at least want like 5 bomb arrows. Come on, guy, you're the bow master, aren't you?
Bowmaster. I guess he used to be. I don't know.
Well, so you got something laying around you ain't using anymore.
Sure.
Give me that, man.
Shows the cuckoos, man. I don't know if he can still be the bowmaster.
Be the cuckoo slayer. Gotta combine them.
So that brings me to Dorian. Now Dorian is not the Dorian's the father of 2 who's concerned about Peek and Go. Dorian also has a dark secret. And in order for you to know about this, uh first of all, we won't know the full extent of this until the end of the game. So I can't tell you everything about Dorian. What I can tell you about Dorian is that between his 2 daughters, one of them is onto him. And that one is Coco. So he has 2 daughters, and they're named Coco and Katla. And Katla is completely unaware that anything is happening out of the ordinary. Coco has a much better understanding of what's going on, and leads a kind of a sad life, if you actually know. I mean, I did the cooking challenge with her. She does like Katla's kitchen type deal. She has 3 or 4 stages of standing right by, like, it's right between Impa's house and the High Spirits produce. And she does a little cooking challenge where she basically sends you on a mission to get 1 ingredient per dish, that like the 1 ingredient she's missing each time. And when you get to the last one, it's a dessert, and she remembers that it was a dessert that her mother would make whenever she got sick when she was younger. And she's only like 4 years old now. So she remembers this from somewhere in her first 3 years of life, and now she's trying to learn how to cook like her mom. If I got my numbers right, I'm pretty sure somewhere in the lore it says she's only 4 years old. And she cries about it. She gets really sad, and she's like, "I want to be a cook just like you, mama," and like kind of like has this big moment. And it becomes very obvious that Coco's mother has passed away, but not before she was able to actually form memories. So she passed away recently. Um, the thing about that is that if you catch her at the right time of day, there's actually a memorial set up north of Kakariko. There's a path that leads out of the town, and there's a bunch of rocks all stacked together and one tall rock in the middle. And if you catch her during that time, she'll be over there just crying, like sobbing her eyes out. And you talk to her, and she says that she's sad because her mom is here buried. And you're like, "Say what now?" And she basically says, "Oh yeah, like my mom, like mom is sleeping under the ground here. She's probably making friends in heaven." And so it's like real heavy out of nowhere, because this little girl who's running around town, like, I think Katla like plays hide and seek with you. Like, one of the first dishes you make is actually for Katla, like when you make it with Coco. But Katla's oblivious. Like, one of the things that Coco shares with you is that not only has her mother passed away, but that Dorian, their father, hasn't told them. Like, he's kind of going on as if their mom is just like traveling or just away somewhere or is busy doing something else. And Katla doesn't understand that her mother has passed. Like, Katla's still waiting for her mom to come home. And Coco has figured out what actually happened. At least to the extent that she knows that her mom is dead. Uh, and so it's really kind of heart wrenching to stumble upon that randomly. It's like a real punch to the gut. Like, okay, like I was having this cool time in cool Kakariko, like meeting all these cool people, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, like why is there a dead mom that the father hasn't told his kids about? Like why is the one girl still going to bed every night waiting for her mom to come home? Like, what is this? It's just real dark. But it also kind of showed me something about uh Ulkin and Steen and why they seem to be super worried about their wives. um, as if something that happened to Dorian's wife could happen again, like whatever it was. Uh,
Oh,
so like that was my reading of it. After getting all this information, I was like, "Uh oh!" Like everybody's kind of concerned. Like there's a lot of like
everyone over here going, hide your wives, hide your kids.
wives. No, I mean, yeah, it's funny, but I mean, at the same time, I'm like, yo, it's weird how much Kakariko, like everybody's kind of not everybody, but a lot of the people are paired up. Like there's a lot of highlighted marriages, whether it's marriage issues or it's worrisome husbands or it's this situation here, which is just terrible,
Yeah.
I would say. Um, and I did not get that reading the first time I played the game. Like I did not understand what I was like, who I was talking to or why or what. I just was like, oh yeah, look at this Ninja Town. Really cool Japan stuff. Look at me getting the edge of duality or whatever, like it just,
Hey,
it all just seemed like a really, you know, it was just all just a really cool cultural experience. And this time going through, I was like, yo, this town's got problems. Like, not just in the Book of Worries, like worse than the Book of Worries problems that you don't get unless you actually talk to everybody, including the kids who you would think are just there to have fun and play games. But turns out one of them is about to like just like blindside you with this tragedy. So I don't know. And then and like I said, like there's more to this story, but we don't get it until after the memories quest, which we haven't even technically
oh,
gotten yet. So we
that'll
will
be a while.
yeah, so we'll learn more about this as time goes on, but it's like one of the wildest like side setups that we could have gotten this early on in the game. So
Yeah, I didn't expect you talking about that.
yeah, before I did the cooking thing with Coco, I didn't expect to be talking about this, but then I, did some wiki diving and I was like, hold up, what happened? And I literally right before this episode went and verified that Coco is in fact standing there by the memorial, like, or by the burial site, crying about it. Even this early in the game, like the game does not shy away from that. Like you can find it. It's just everybody in the town is on a schedule, so some of the stuff is hidden behind what hours you visit and who you find during that time. One of the just on a similar note, like Coco during the day, she'll visit her mom's favorite tree. And you can like when you go and talk to her, she'll say, "Oh yeah, that my mom loved this tree, so we sit here or whatever." If you go into their house at night, like one of the daughters will be sitting up on the bed, like waiting for mom. The other one will be like asleep, trying to like you can kind of hear what they're sleep like dreaming about or whatever. And it's kind of along the similar vein of if either waiting for dad to get home or something like that. But it's all very much like Coco goes through an entire schedule every day that is all revolved around her missing her mom. And it's yeah, it's really heavy. Like especially after playing hide and seek with Katla and being like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine." It's like there's a really strong duality between the two of them between everything is okay and everything is not okay. Um and I think it might be like meant to be a statement about the game itself because you do go around and do a lot of fun side quests and you do meet a lot of cool people, but at the same time, half the stuff you walk over is ruins. Like
Yeah.
in Hyrule, like this is one of the funnest games I've ever played as a gamer in general, but at the same time, like you're going through an apocalyptic Hyrule where the story is one of destruction. Um yeah, like you're coming into the ruins of a world you were not able to save before the game started, and you're kind of just picking up the pieces as you go. So I don't know. It makes me think like I mean, it's kind of the ways you can view the game as you're playing it. Like if you're looking for it, you can find the tragedy, or if you're looking for it, you can find the fun. It's really up to like what you're in it for. But yeah, I don't know. It hit me heavy. That's what I'll say. I wasn't expecting it, but it went real hard, real fast.
Yeah. Sounds like it. But yeah, I'll tell you that I do have so much fun with Breath of the Wild that you do just forget that you're playing a post-apocalyptic game where you're like running over the soil that's only barely covering the bodies of all of your people that have fallen in the past 100 years. It's like you play a game like Dying Light, any kind of zombie apocalypse game, and every single corner you turn, it's just throwing it in your face how the world is over. Blah, blah, blah. But Breath of the Wild, it leaves it there as like this sort of backdrop, like the ambience of the game is the destruction of the past.
Yeah.
It never, it's not that it never, but it almost never just throws it at your face, except for those couple cutscenes like the ones we just got done talking about.
Yeah.
It's just, you kind of have to pick that up. And like you said, if you don't want to, you're just having fun playing a great, amazingly designed video game. But if you want to drop that for a second and pull out a magnifying glass, Velma style, then you can find some really creepy, scary, sad, tragic stuff.
Yeah. True that.
I didn't even know about that.
Like I said, the first time I played the game, I had no clue. No idea that this was all happening. I think I even finished out this quest line and only kind of understood what had happened. Like I was like, wait, all that? When did that? What? Like
What?
whatever. I got my orb. Like
I got my orb.
Just didn't even think about it. But yeah, this time it's a lot different. But yeah, that's actually all I have for Kakariko though. Like I think the highlights for me were the learning about the plum garden, learning about Coco. I mean, yeah. So there were some other side quests that I wasn't aware of before, but just there's like more depth to these characters. Like that, it's one of the weird things. Like you play an Ocarina of Time, and it's like you have day and you have night, and day is when you're going to talk to most people, and night you're only going to get a couple extra tidbits. This one, it's like, oh yeah, everyone's got a day. It's split into like 4 or 5 parts, and depending on when you talk to them, here's all the information you can get, and it's like, it's
Yeah.
it's heavily written.
It's kind of reminiscent of, I guess we actually haven't even talked about this game yet, and we won't for a long time, but Majora's Mask and how they have the time set up for all the different characters.
Yeah.
You can see this guy here at this time from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. He's over here, and then he runs over here from 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock, and then from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, he's over here. Then he goes to bed, and he follows the same schedule every day. Yeah. I don't feel like there was many Zelda games that did that. Most NPCs are just kind of chilling in one spot or running on one set loop that you could just interrupt them at any time and maybe get a different dialogue depending on where you are in the game, not so much what time it is.
Yeah.
But Breath of the Wild and Majora's Mask took it a step further with the NPCs and really had a set schedule where they have their own dialogue, the totally different location, maybe even their own individual, like, unique animations that they're doing in that spot for the thing they're doing, instead of just being a guy that runs around a house forever.
Yeah.
It adds another layer to it. I really like that.
For sure. Cool. I mean, I think we're...
But it's a lot harder to get that info, though.
Yeah.
Unless you want to follow each character in the whole village around for a day each just to see what they do. It's really hard to get an idea of every single little thing that they actually do. But it makes them feel more alive.
For sure. Yeah, no, I definitely think that it adds to the
Podcat. Podcat. We got the Podcat. Say hi. Can we get the dab going?
The dab?
Meow. It's got the dab.
Nice. All right.
So I guess we could hop into something. I don't know if it's going to catch on.
Your story, right? Yeah,
Cameron's story segment. Yeah. So basically, I took pretty much like from my very first steps off of the plateau all the way until even after where I'm going to stop. I have a story about what I did and a couple interesting things that happened to me along the way. And it started out as more of just like bullet points and slowly or quickly actually became a story. So the beginning of it might kind of sound like caveman sentences, but it'll get into some real sentence structure pretty quick. So
nice.
So right off the bat, I jumped off of the plateau and wound up right next to 2 Hylians that were being attacked by 2 bokoblins. So I helped them, talked to one, and didn't even see the other one, to be honest. Thought I was only helping one person, and I was like, "Where's my reward? I helped you." And she wasn't giving me anything. And then eventually her friend walked over. And I was like, "Oh, you must be the one." I talked to that one, and yeah, she handed me a hasty elixir for my troubles. And I headed off towards the dueling peaks. I actually didn't. I don't know exactly where I jumped off, but I did not go over that bridge yet. It wasn't until later that I ran into the NPC that talked about the shrines and the towers and the guardian, and had the little cutscene where it pointed to the dead one in the river. Yeah. But I still went to dueling peaks, just through a different way. And I first grabbed the climber's bandana at the bottom shrine. Got 2 Korok seeds off towards the top. On one peak, there are a set of statues that you can put an apple in, and then another peak is just an oddly placed rock at the top of it. And you pick the rock up, and he's like, "Yeah, you found me. I was under the rock." It's great. And from the tallest peak of the dueling shrines, I saw 4 shrines that were all kind of like in a line. I looked over to the left, saw a shrine 1, 2, 3, 4 as I like panned my camera. And the last of those shrines was the one at Kakariko. I could just barely see like the very corner of it. So I figured I would go along and do those 4 shrines, which would end me up in Kakariko, which is where I was headed to.
Yeah.
So on my way to the first, I had to use some cliffs to avoid a guardian that was running around right there. He caught a glimpse of me a time or two, but as I went down on the cliff and started climbing to the side, it just kind of went over and was like, "Huh. Yeah, I guess he's gone now," and would walk away. And I would climb up, and then if he saw me again, I would get back down and do it again, just hide from him, because I just didn't feel like fighting a guardian at this point. I mean, I could have reflected 2 beams at him and made quick work.
Yeah,
but
pretty early on in the game, it would have been you get hit once, it's over.
Oh yeah, definitely get hit once and it's over. Let's see. So I found 2 fairies in the grass on my way to this shrine, just by doing the family secret technique, doing a spin here and there in the grass, knocking it off. You can find usually hightail lizards and restless crickets, but occasionally you can pop a fairy, which is very nice.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Then is when I landed on the flowers in the flower shrine. That was the first of the 4 shrines I saw from the dueling peaks, and Flower Lady got really mad at me because I just paraglided right into the flowers.
Yeah.
So she brought me back to the beginning and was like, "Don't you dare touch my flowers again." And I was like, okay.
Sounds
noted.
Cool.
The monsters were touching her flowers. She didn't care about the monsters, though. She only cares if I touch her flowers. So I just ran past the monsters, got to the shrine, completed that. Then I was off to my second shrine. Oh, this shrine, by the way, is involving logs floating on water, and you had to use those and maybe pop up a frozen pillar here or there for something, but it was a pretty easy shrine. I had no problems with it.
Yeah, I remember. I think I might have done that one.
On my way to the next shrine, I found even more hightail lizards and restless crickets, just tons of them. And then I ran into good old buddy Beetle.
Yeah. Okay.
I ran into Beetle just walking around. I sold him a ruby, and I bought every single arrow that he had because I need arrows. I always need arrows. Give me your arrows. You got arrows to sell? I'll buy them. I got rupees. You got arrows? I try to keep the rupees just so that I can sell this guy out of his arrows every time I meet him. So I get it. Arrows are such a commodity in this game. I try to keep high counts as much as I can. Yeah, as you're just firing them off left and right. Before you know it, you've shot 20, 30 arrows and you're halfway through your stock. You're like, oh.
Yeah, like bows, like they like every other weapon, there's weapon durability. I never have a problem keeping a bow in my inventory. I do have a problem keeping arrows in inventory.
Yeah.
I run out of arrows before I break my bows. Like, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, my bows are always full. I'm constantly dropping my lowest quality bow and picking up the new one I just found.
Yeah.
So the second shrine I ran into here was a magnesis puzzle involving 3 stackable blocks that you would then climb and get to places you can't get to normally to solve the puzzle and get your spirit orb.
Yeah, I saw that one too, I think. It's a good one.
Yeah. Let's see. So after this one, I grabbed a couple fish, and then this is where I talked to the NPC at the bridge about the the pillars and the shrines
Yeah.
and the guardian.
Okay.
I don't know how I ended up back at the bridge at this point, but I did.
Okay.
So follow that into the third shrine, which is just literally riding paragliders on the wind, which was the shrine that was right next to that bridge. Like probably the easiest shrine in the game. You literally just pop open your paraglider and ride on some wind and you find it.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then I went out of Kakariko. On my way into Kakariko is when my first blood moon popped.
Okay.
Which was kind of ominous. Literally, like as soon as I saw the tops of the buildings, it just the whole world started to go red, and I heard the music. I was like, "Oh,
I don't remember there being an invasion here.
yeah, like this isn't how Kakariko is supposed to be." But I'm about it. So that was over. Went on and did the Kakariko Shrine, which is your combat tutorial. So basic, so easy for anyone that's played this game before.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was weird, kind of jarring after playing the game for like 6 hours to suddenly be like, "Oh, this is how you dodge." Like,
Yeah.
okay, guy.
Yeah, and I knew somebody that actually skipped this shrine for some reason. They like activated the ability to teleport back to it, but never actually went in and solved it. And so they had played the game for quite a number of hours. I think they'd already beaten almost all of the beasts.
Yeah.
And then they came to this shrine and actually like learned from the tutorial. Like they didn't know that you could just like dodge and backflip and all this stuff. And I was like,
Oof.
dang.
Yeah, it's a lot of games
That sucks.
without knowing.
Yeah, it was locked behind this shrine, which wasn't locked. It's there.
I actually think that's either Steam or it might even be okay because they do the whole offense and defense thing. They both kind of recommend going up to that shrine at night. Like when you talk to them, because they're like, "Oh yeah, like when I up my skills, like I really want to try to, go into that combat shrine or whatever. The only thing is the ways like it's blocked, you can't get in. There's nobody knows how to get into the thing." So I mean, obviously, you with your Sheikah Slate, just you take your hero privilege and go right down in. Learn all the best
power
moves.
on in there.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this is where that funny thing around Impa's house happened. So there was a chicken near the ledge. Like, so there's like a ledge that runs up behind her house. There was a cuckoo up on that. Not a chicken. I mean, kind of a chicken, but it's a cuckoo. I hit it just for fun. And it laid an egg.
It laid an egg?
It laid an egg as I hit it. And then my attention was immediately brought to a hightail lizard that was for some reason on top of the roof of Impa's house. And as soon as I hit that chicken and it started freaking out, this hightail lizard just booked it, ran off of the roof, fell all the way down to the ground, and then proceeded to just run full sprint into the wall forever. He did not disappear. He just kept sprinting into the wall until I went down there and grabbed him. But it was just a really funny series of events. Smack chicken, get egg. All of a sudden, lizard's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a chicken!" Runs off the roof and into a wall, just breaks.
Makes
Lizard.exe stopped responding.
I think traditionally chickens would eat lizards of that size. So it does make sense that it would be that scared, but not disappearing when running into a wall is kind of strange. For this game, a lot of things tend to just disappear after a while. They all have kind of phase out.
Yeah, where they just get away.
Yeah. It's really,
let's see.
Yeah. When you're hunting, it's really annoying because they'll just like be running around and you're trying to get a shot off, all of a sudden they just disappear and you're like, that's not how things work.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with full-sized animals. Bugs, you could be like, "Oh, it just got too far away. I couldn't see it anymore." But like, "Oh, that deer? Yeah, no, that deer's not going anywhere."
Yeah.
So then my next goal was to get my Kakariko drip on.
There you go.
I had to buy that Hylian armor. You know how it'd be. I couldn't afford the stealth set yet, as I didn't go farm a bunch of meat and sell it.
Yeah,
I should do that though.
I did. Yeah, the Rabia plane got me all the money I needed to get that set. So now I can just kind of like sneak up to things. I mean, bugs and stuff like that, you can literally just walk up to as long as you aren't sprinting. You don't make enough noise, and you can just sneak up on anything that way.
Same with enemies that are sleeping. You don't have to crouch walk up to them for like a 20-foot radius. You can literally just walk up or jog up, and you're fine.
Yeah.
It's a very nice set to have, especially considering this game lets you change armor mid-combat whenever you want.
Right. It's a very useful utility set. Just I usually keep it on all the time unless I've already been spotted by something heavy, and then I'll switch to a nicer, heavier armor.
Yeah,
But
combat set.
yeah, but for the most part, I just keep on the stealth armor just because farming, I don't want to have to think about it too much. I want to just be able to run up and pick up bugs instead of having to sneak up on them.
Yeah.
Takes too much effort to. I mean, it makes traveling around on foot a lot faster because of that. Just every time I see a bug or anything that's gonna run away, I just run up to it and grab it, and it's no big deal.
I mean, for me, I was either usually wearing that exact set as well for similar reasons, or I would just be wearing the climber set all the time. So whenever I went to climb something, I just wouldn't have to worry about stamina anywhere near as much. I could just mash the jump button and get up just about anything except for like a mountain.
Nice.
Yeah. So once I got my, Kakariko drip on, I headed on over to the arrow shop and bought out every single thing that they had, except for the 5 packs of bomb arrows, because I didn't have that much extra money after buying all the clothes.
Right.
Then I went over to the shrine, turned in my 8 at this point spirit orbs, and got another stamina vessel and a heart container. So now I have 4 hearts and 2 upgrades on my stamina. Well, at the point of writing this is what I had.
Yeah.
Then I headed over to the fairy fountain. And that was about it.
Nice.
After that, I went up behind Impa's house and saw a shrine and went on from there. But for this point, that was the end of my Kakariko journey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, sounds like we had pretty similar experience. I think some of those shrines I waited for until after, and I didn't buy the Hylian set. I just went straight for the stealth set. But I mean, otherwise, we ran into a lot of the same stuff. So, good deal.
Yeah.
So I think with that we can kind of cut it here. I know we said we were gonna do 2 towns and try to get Hateno in here originally as well, but just from a recording test, we found that to be way too much information for one episode.
Yeah.
So instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it here, and then we'll do Hateno next week. Hopefully, we'll have Anthony back for that episode. But I mean, we all take things our own way. So if he needs more time, it's all good. But hopefully, we'll have him back for next episode when we go over Hateno Village. In the meantime, you all enjoy your next 2 weeks. If you want to catch us on any of our social medias, a link to our website will be in the description. If you want to support us, you can go to Anchor for that. You can also get to that through our website. So, yeah, if you like what we got going on, we'll catch you next time on A4NB4Y. Yes.
Yeah. Have a great night.
Did you get all that? Hold on just one second. I'm going to try to fix this wire.
Whoa.
Then, I know, right?
Whoa. Is this present post?
What? Maybe. I don't know. It's an earthquake over here right now, though. This.
Oh, it's the whole East Coast. Oh, no. Okay.
You say it's the whole East Coast?
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully that'll mitigate some of the
even
issues,
though we're like right next to each other.
but maybe not. We'll see. It still seems to be like affecting the tower a little bit,
Yeah,
but
it's swaying.
it's not as bad, I don't think.
It's pretended to be a praying mantis where it's all like,
Yeah. There's got to be a better way to stabilize that. I'll figure it out.
gum.
Gum.
You don't get paid in gum?
Gum might do it. I wish I got paid in Trident layers.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Free advertisements. Sorry, this mic is driving me crazy. I can figure it out, but I think I have to undo what I did. I did the wrong thing. So if I wanted to stabilize the camera, what I needed to do was get it separated from the shelf over here. And instead I tethered it to the shelf like a Nimrod. So
Oh no. And you got a shaky shelf.
I do have a shaky shelf. I'd rather have a shaky light though than a shaky shelf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tether it to the light.
Go towards the light, microphone.
Because the light does not come in contact with the shelf. And then hopefully once the shelf stops moving anyway, then I will have myself something resembling something stable. But it also might just be that I'm moving the chair a little bit and it just shakes the whole room. So we'll see. Shaky shelves, man, not good for video. We'll learn for next time. That's what'll happen. Next episode will be stable. I'll figure it out.
There we go. We're at the Dueling Speak stable.
Yeah.
And now your shelf's gonna be stable.
Yeah, this might be there. Yes, words have meaning. And so
different ones sometimes.